But before I get into these Wikipedia techniques, you're probably asking, why should you listen to me in the first place, or watch the videos in this free course, or even consider the sales letter below? Well, I know what it's like to struggle to get an online business going. I've spent my fair share of days filled with anxiety, wondering how's I going to get this online business up and running. In fact, when I started, I had this tiny little bedroom. We had a little tiny one-bedroom apartment in Chicago, and I had this tiny little office in the corner of the bedroom. There were no windows in there, you can see right there. And I trash picked this blurry monitor and really had to get my online business started from scratch with almost nothing. And believe it or not, right above this picture right here was my bed. I actually built this loft bed thing so that I would actually have room for my office under the bed because our apartment was so small there was no room, even in that little bedroom, for a desk. But I've been working on having my own online business from home since about the year 2000, and you can see here this is where I started out. If you do a search for my name on Amazon, I've got all these books here that I had edited and worked. These are all lot of work put into these books. If you do a search for Chad T. Kimball, you'll see them, and you see those are back in 2002 where I got started. I wasn't making much money on these though, and I was still really struggling day in and day out, even with all the work that I put into these information products, not really getting anywhere, and not really making many sales. And it took me about the next 4 or 5 years really to figure it out, struggling buying this and that course, which I'm sure you've all done. So I finally started to see some sales come in and actually some income. You can see here's some of the income statements from my shopping cart of the monthly, and this was an autopilot type site. So I finally was able to begin to make some money on autopilot. And you can see here making a few $100s a month, and if you add all this together, it added up. After the end of '07, there, it added up to around $1,000 a month I was making just on this one site. Here's another site that I had around that same time that was actually finally starting to work. This is actually my profit loss statement for the year, and you can see I made $19,000, and that was totally on autopilot. Information product site. Both of these sites were not in the internet marketing per se niche. These were niche information products. When I really started to make a lot of money is when I got into buying and selling websites. You can see here's the deposit amount, little screenshot from my bank statement of the deposit from one of my website sales that I sold, $21,000. Here's the deposit from another site that I sold. I believe it was the year after that, and this was just the initial deposit. I actually sold this one for $40,000, so they made a few more deposits over the next few months. The buyer of that site did, I mean. And for the last 4 years or so, I've also been teaching folks how to do this type of thing, teaching people SEO and how to make money online. And here's some of the testimonials just from people that have purchased my products. These are various products over the years. There's someone talking about if you have keywords you want ranked high, this is the way to go. This is brilliant. Another great product. Here's a testimonial from the sales letter actually directly below this video. We dominate the first 2 pages of search results for 7 keyword phrases. Was able to generate several $1,000s from using my techniques right there. That's another testimonial. My site is #1 in 3 very competitive categories. These are all SEO testimonials. Position #2 in 2 days. You can read the details of all these things below. I won't keep going, but basically I went from spending every day at this little desk jammed under our bed in our home 1-bedroom apartment there, stressing out each day about my online business, to spending summers in Germany. There's me and my kids there in Germany. This is a trip we took to Istanbul, and all the while my business is pretty much running without me being there or doing much of anything. It also gave me the time to take in at-risk children, which is something me and my wife do here in inner city Chicago. There's one of the little girls that we had for about 6 months. Spending the summer in Wyoming. Here's some photos of us in Wyoming. Up there in the mountains. That was actually more in the springtime. You can see from the snow, the spring snow there. And in early 2012, we actually went to Ethiopia, spent some time there, and we actually adopted this little girl who's now a part of our family. But all this to say that you can do this too, and this is what I teach you to do inside my SEO Cash Club, and that's why I want you to read the sales letter the all the information there on that page. I put it down there. Everything you get. All you have to do is read that letter directly below this video. And I can show you how to do it. I've done it. I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. And I could teach you how to build an online business just like I have in my SEO Cash Club.